In a shocking turn of events, John Smith was convicted of murder without a single piece of concrete evidence. No body, no witnesses, no motive. The prosecution's case relied heavily on circumstantial evidence, leaving many to wonder how could this be possible. The investigation began with a series of cryptic letters sent to the local police department. Each letter seemed to taunt the authorities, hinting at a gruesome murder. But without a body, it was impossible to prove a crime had been committed. Detectives turned their attention to John Smith, a quiet, unassuming neighbor with a seemingly perfect life. His alibi for the time of the alleged murder was shaky at best. But really raised suspicions was his unusual behavior, avoiding eye contact, fidgeting, and an overall nervous demeanor. A DNA sample was collected from John's clothing, which showed a partial match to an unknown DNA profile. The prosecution argued this was evidence of John's guilt, but experts testified that the sample was degraded and couldn't be relied upon. A surprise witness came forward, claiming to have seen John arguing with the victim days before the alleged murder. But under cross-examination, the witness's credibility began to unravel. It seemed they had a personal vendetta against John. As the trial neared its conclusion, a shocking revelation threw the case into chaos. A former detective, now retired, came forward with new evidence. A piece of torn fabric caught in a window lock at John's residence matched the fabric of the victim's clothing. But there was a catch: the detective had withheld this evidence during the initial investigation. The court was adjourned, and the judge ordered an emergency meeting to discuss the new evidence. As the jury was dismissed, a juror whispered to the prosecutor, "What if we're wrong?" The prosecutor's eyes widened, and a chill ran down their spine. Suddenly, the phone in the courtroom rang, shrill and insistent. The judge answered, and a low, menacing voice whispered, "The real killer is still out there." The courtroom fell silent, and the judge's face turned pale. The courtroom was electrified with tension as the judge's face turned pale. "The real killer is still out there." Those words hung in the air like a challenge, leaving everyone wondering who was behind the sinister voice. Detectives scrambled to trace the call, but it was a dead-end, a burner phone used for a single call. The investigation was reignited, with renewed focus on finding the truth. John's lawyer demanded an immediate review of the case, citing police misconduct and withheld evidence. As the investigation continued, a cryptic message surfaced online: "John Smith is innocent. Look closer at the victim's family." Was this a prank or a genuine tip? Detectives tracked the IP address, leading them to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. Inside the warehouse, they found a hidden room filled with evidence pointing to the victim's family as potential suspects. Documents revealed a deep-seated feud over inheritance, and a suspicious transaction linked to a life insurance policy. It seemed the motive wasn't about John Smith after all. The victim's brother, previously unknown to the police, became the prime suspect. Further investigation revealed a dark history of manipulation and control within the family. Was the brother capable of murder? A DNA sample from the brother matched the partial match found on John's clothing. The case was unraveling, and John's innocence seemed more plausible than ever. Just as the police were about to apprehend the brother, another letter arrived at the police department. "You're getting close, but I'm always one step ahead." The letter included a chilling message: "You'll never catch me." The police realized they were dealing with a mastermind, someone who had meticulously planned the murder and framed John. The brother was just a pawn in a larger game. But who was the puppeteer behind the scenes? As detectives closed in on the brother, they received a chilling warning: "Back off, or you'll regret it." The brother's alibi for the time of the murder checked out, but his demeanor screamed guilt. In a stunning turn of events, evidence pointed to an unlikely accomplice: the retired detective who had withheld evidence. A web of corruption and deceit began to unravel, revealing a complex conspiracy. The police are now racing against time to uncover the truth. John's fate hangs in the balance, and the real killer remains at large. Will justice prevail, or will the phantom killer strike again? The investigation had just taken a dark turn. The retired detective's involvement was more sinister than initially thought. As detectives dug deeper, they uncovered a web of deceit that threatened to destroy everything. The retired detective, once a respected figure, had been manipulating evidence and witnesses. But why? Was it a personal vendetta or a desperate attempt to protect someone? A cryptic message from an unknown number sent detectives to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. Inside, they found a series of cryptic clues and a single word: "look again." Detectives re-examined the evidence, searching for any inconsistencies. That's when they noticed something peculiar, a tiny discrepancy in the timeline that could change everything. The discrepancy revealed a shocking truth: John Smith's alibi checked out, but only if he had an accomplice. The investigation took a stunning turn as detectives realized the true extent of the conspiracy. The accomplice was none other than the victim's own sister, who had been hiding in plain sight. Her motive was rooted in a decades-old family trauma. In a dramatic interrogation, the sister confessed to the crime, but with a twist: she claimed to have been coerced by someone close to the investigation. The investigation led to a shocking revelation: the true mastermind behind the murder was someone the police had trusted. The retired detective was not acting alone. As detectives closed in on the true killer, they received a chilling message: "You'll never stop me." The final confrontation was about to unfold. The true killer's identity was revealed in a stunning twist. It was the prosecutor, driven by a personal vendetta against the victim. The motive was rooted in a tragic event from the prosecutor's past. John Smith was finally exonerated, but the damage had been done. The prosecutor's betrayal shook the justice system to its core. The prosecutor's betrayal sent shockwaves through the justice system. How could someone entrusted with upholding the law be capable of such heinous crimes? The investigation continued, but new evidence revealed a larger conspiracy. As detectives dug deeper, they uncovered a network of corrupt officials and law enforcement personnel involved in the cover-up. The prosecutor was just the tip of the iceberg. A cryptic message from an unknown source hinted at a mastermind behind the conspiracy. Look closer at the shadows. Detectives were baffled, unsure who or what they were looking for. A brave whistleblower came forward, revealing a decades-long pattern of corruption within the justice system. The evidence pointed to a powerful organization manipulating the system for their gain. The investigation revealed the organization's vast influence, stretching from local law enforcement to the highest echelons of power. They had orchestrated the murder and framed John Smith to further their agenda. The victim had stumbled upon a dark secret about the organization, threatening to expose them. The murder was a desperate attempt to silence him and protect their interests. Detectives tracked down the leader of the organization, a figure known only as the Architect. In a tense standoff, the Architect revealed the full extent of their plan. The Architect was not working alone. They had allies in the highest levels of government. The conspiracy went far beyond a single organization, implicating powerful figures who would stop at nothing to maintain their power. The Architect escaped custody, leaving behind a chilling message: the truth will never be revealed. The investigation continued, but the stakes had never been higher. John Smith's life would never be the same. The trauma of being wrongly accused and imprisoned would haunt him forever. The community was left to wonder how many more were involved in the conspiracy. As the sun set on another day, a figure watched from the shadows. The phantom killer's legacy lived on, a reminder that justice is not always served. The Architect's escape sent shockwaves through the investigation. How could someone with such vast resources and connections evade capture? The stakes were higher than ever. and detectives were racing against time to bring the architect to justice. A massive manhunt was launched, with law enforcement agencies working around the clock to track down the architect. But every lead seemed to end in a dead end, and detectives were starting to lose hope. A message from an unknown number arrived, taunting detectives with the architect's next move. "You'll never catch me, but I'll give you a show." The message was accompanied by a chilling image, a photograph of a prominent landmark with a countdown timer. Detectives realized that the architect was planning something big, and the countdown timer hinted at a catastrophic event. They scrambled to decipher the cryptic message and prevent the impending disaster. The landmark in the photograph was a major government building. Detectives suspected that the architect planned to target it, but the motive remained unclear. A mole within the organization came forward, revealing crucial information about the architect's plan. The mole's identity was protected, but their testimony was invaluable. The architect's plan was not just about destruction. It was about exposing the deep-seated corruption within the government. The mole revealed that the architect had been working to bring down the corrupt system from within. With hours left on the countdown timer, detectives were closing in on the architect's location. The tension was palpable as they prepared for a final showdown. Detectives stormed the architect's hideout, but they were met with unexpected resistance. The architect had set a trap, and detectives found themselves in a deadly game of cat and mouse. Just as detectives thought they had the architect cornered, a shocking revelation turned the case upside down. The architect was not the mastermind behind the conspiracy. They were merely a pawn in a larger game. The true mastermind was revealed to be a figure from the highest echelons of power, someone who had been manipulating events from behind the scenes. The investigation had uncovered a conspiracy of unimaginable scale. The revelation of the puppet master sent shockwaves through the investigation. How could someone in such a powerful position manipulate the system without being detected? The stakes were higher than ever, and detectives were determined to bring the puppet master to justice. Detectives worked around the clock to gather evidence against the puppet master. Every lead was pursued, and every witness was interviewed. The investigation was a complex web of intrigue and deception. A cryptic message from an unknown source hinted at a mole within the investigation team. Detectives were forced to question their own colleagues, unsure who to trust. After a tense investigation, the mole was revealed to be a trusted member of the team. The mole's betrayal was a devastating blow, and detectives realized they had been playing into the puppet master's hands. The puppet master's plan was more sinister than initially thought. They had manipulated the investigation from the beginning, using it to further their own agenda. The puppet master's agenda was rooted in a desire for power and control. They had been secretly manipulating the system for years, using their influence to shape policy and decision-making. Detectives finally tracked down the puppet master, and a tense confrontation ensued. The puppet master was ruthless, willing to do whatever it took to maintain their power. Just as detectives thought they had the upper hand, a shocking revelation turned the case upside down. The puppet master was not working alone. They had a partner, someone who had been hiding in plain sight. The partner was revealed to be a high-ranking government official. The official's involvement was a surprise, but it explained the extent of the corruption. The puppet master and their partner were brought to justice, but the damage had been done. The investigation had exposed deep-seated corruption within the system, and reform was desperately needed. The Phantom Killer's legacy lived on, a reminder of the darkness that lurked in the shadows. The case had been solved, but the true impact would be felt for years to come. The mysterious figure watching from the shadows sent a chill down the spines of detectives. Who was this person, and what did they want? The investigation had brought down the puppet master and their partner, but the true extent of their influence remained unknown. Detectives dug deeper, determined to uncover the full scope of the conspiracy. Every lead was pursued and every witness was interviewed. The investigation was a complex puzzle, and detectives were determined to find the missing pieces. A cryptic message from an unknown source hinted at a larger conspiracy. The puppet master was just a pawn. The message read, "Look closer at the true masterminds." Detectives were stunned. Could it be true that the puppet master was just a pawn in a larger game? They began to investigate further, following a trail of clues that led them deeper into the heart of the conspiracy. The investigation revealed a vast web of deceit, stretching from the highest levels of government to the lowest rungs of society. It seemed that everyone was involved and no one could be trusted. The true mastermind behind the conspiracy was revealed to be a figure of immense power and influence. They had manipulated events from behind the scenes, using their vast resources to shape the course of history. The motive behind the conspiracy was rooted in a desire for ultimate power and control. The mastermind had been working tirelessly to create a new world order, one in which they would be the supreme ruler. Detectives finally tracked down the mastermind, and a tense confrontation ensued. The mastermind was ruthless, willing to do whatever it took to achieve their goal. Just as detectives thought they had the upper hand, a shocking revelation turned the case upside down. The mastermind was not the ultimate puppet master. There was someone even more powerful pulling the strings. The ultimate puppet master was revealed to be a figure of unimaginable power and influence. They had been manipulating world events for decades, shaping the course of history to suit their own agenda. The investigation had uncovered a conspiracy of unimaginable scale. The puppet master, their partner, and the mastermind had all been brought to justice. But the true extent of the conspiracy remained unknown.